Maggie Rogers, Don't Forget Me album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album from Miss Maggie Rogers, Maryland-based singer, songwriter. She's been at it for a few years now. Now, by now, you probably know the story of, her coming up, her first few albums, her discovery, which led to the release of her EP, Now the Light is Fading, and a lot of people were looking directly at this thing, praising the hell out of it, and I thought it was just kind of okay. I did enjoy the singles. I still do enjoy the very bubbly Give a Little. Also, I still think Light On is probably best track that she's ever put out. But outside of that, I just thought the thing was kind of okay. I thought Maggie's vocals were really great. I thought her lyrics were incredibly sincere. But everything else happening around her was kind of very phoned in. And by the time we got the old full-length album out of that, the Heard It in a Past Life album, I was even sick of some of those singles by that point, and the deep cuts on this thing were not really helping me to stick around. So much so, I'm going to be brutally honest, my excitement for 2022's Surrender album was minimal at best. And while the record is overall still just not in my style, I will say this: the synthesizers on this album and the much bolder, more modern production really did make her music stand out a lot more. Now, leading up to this thing, I wasn't that excited, especially with the "So Sick of Dreaming" single. I'm sorry, I think it's just not up to snuff at all. However, while my expectations were not exactly the highest for this thing, I think that Maggie's really coming around. At least as far as my tastes are concerned. It was all coming along, starts this album off, and I think this is an awesome start. It's airy, it's sweet, it's got enough synthesizers to give this track some serious depth. It has that sort of throwback 80s Americana feel to it, and it's done really well. And Maggie is at her most passionate, which she rarely isn't. I mean, she's a very passionate singer in general, but this is like spectacularly big sounding. I love the storytelling on this track. The starry backdrop behind Maggie is really, really nice as well. This is in all aspects a great intro, and if you're new to Maggie's music, give this track a shot. Drunk up next. I'm really shocked by this one too, mostly because this is probably the closest thing we're ever going to get to Maggie really freaking out a little. It's an upbeat, very heady, synthy jam that has a lot of nods to alternative country as well, and it's got a seriously upbeat groove that I am really digging. And Maggie's silky vocals are the thing that really brings this track together. Maggie's vocals are great. I love the plucked guitar, and most importantly, this is just something different from her, and that's what I wanted to hear. I also really love the kill. Once again, this is her trying something a little bit new. I mean, yeah, I'm not blown away by this album, but I do respect the immense growth that I see here. This track, it's got some bite to it. It's got an upbeat, sort of gritty riff. Really love the incredibly visual lyrics as well. I don't know, something about this track just puts me in such a good mood, makes me want to get on the road with my friends. And I still do, may just very well be the best track here. I mean, you want a ballad? This is a freaking ballad. This one should have been a single as far as I'm concerned. This is one of the most powerful and raw and just obvious ballads I've heard all year. This is just such a great expression of love done simply but effective. It's also one of the more intimate moments on this album, which is something that I've always kind of had issues with. I've always, really loved Maggie's performances, but it's everything else, around her that's always kind of got on my nerves. But here, where it's just Maggie and her piano, which is something I haven't always liked, it's magic. I mean, for my money, she's definitely getting there. However, there are still some growing pains. Like I said, the So Sick of Dreaming single, I'm sorry, man. This is just the wrong direction completely. Listen, some of the later tracks that dive deeper into this alt-country, folk pop kind of sound do it a lot more justice than this. Lyrically, it's fine. It's actually still pretty damn powerful. My only issue is, this sounds like Maggie wrote this song, listened to Casey Musgrave's Golden Hour, and then wrote this. Lyrically, like I said, it's up to snuff, but everything else about this track, she does so much better here. But if at least So Sick of Dreaming has the lyrics. I mean, if now, then when, on the other hand. This track's got nothing going on it. But then we get to If Now Was Then, and Oh, Lordy B. I mean, God, at least on So Sick of Dreaming, I had the lyrics to cling to. But this track's just not good. This is a painfully bland, just way too quaint indie ballad for me. It's so faceless, and with that comes off unfocused. And on top of that, lyrically, vocally, I'm just not feeling it. And All the Same is somehow even more faceless, and I think it's the worst track here because I can't tell you the first thing about it. Yeah, so clearly I'm not completely sold on Maggie's music, but I am impressed with what I'm hearing here. I do like a lot of the later tracks here as well, On and On and On, for example. If you're looking for that folky singer-songwriter, folk pop, country pop vibe, look no further than this. I will say this though, Maggie does to her own unique spin on this, adding a sort of subtle beat under it, makes it very hip, but it's also very short, sweet, breezy. I do love the riff once again, but it's short, it's sweet, it's breezy, it's got that rustic charm to it. And like I said, the backdrop behind Maggie's music has always been my number one issue at the end of the day. Hearing a track like this is like hearing a new artist. A lot of the same feelings on Never Going Home. I love hearing Maggie on these upbeat, strummed riffs. I mean, it's such a determined performance all around, instrumentally, and most importantly from Maggie. It's a great example of that. It's breezy, it's summery, and it makes me smile. And don't forget me, this album's title track and finale did sell me as a single. I still think it's a really good one, and it's one of the best cuts here. It is once again a stripped down ballad with a hell of a vocal performance. Sound like a Maggie Rogers track? And while you can argue that Maggie's got a lot of these, I would argue right back that her songwriting has actually gotten a lot better since then. This track's a lot more tuneful as well. It's more mature. I don't know. This is Maggie, at least for my taste, going in the right direction. I mean, my issue with her has never been her vocals or her songwriting. It's always been a lot of the instrumentals she's landed on and the production on her records. But this sounds like at least a big step in the right direction. Her songwriting is getting even more mature. Her vocals are still great. The passion is here, and just there's so much more going on around her that makes her music overall just hit me a lot harder. That's just my thoughts though. I'm feeling a decent 7 on this album, but let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.